So I've done a video before on how we do mapping in WFP, but things have changed since that time. It's been about 2 years since I did that. Drones, as well as the software we use to fly them, have improved significantly. And one of the things we're trying to do now is we're trying to use the lowest risk drones available for every application. So in this demo I'm going to show you how we use the DJI Mini 2. You can see it's a very small drone, using my hand there for scale. It weighs in at 249 grams. We're going to be mapping with some software called Dronelink, which is my new favorite mapping software. It really is incredible. I'll show you a little bit of why I like it so much when we do the actual flight. And we're going to be doing the processing in OpenDroneMap, very similar to the software we used before, except now it's a locally based version of OpenDroneMap, which is very useful for WFP when we operate in emergencies and there's no connectivity. So let's get out of this and go straight to the planning. Now there are a number of different ways we can plan. We can plan directly on the Dronelink software, but because WFP is generally drone agnostic, I'm going to show you how we plan using Google Earth. Google Earth is one of the tools we can use to plan for any type of drone we want to operate. So not only for little DJI drones, we can also operate our SenseFly drones or the quantum drones that we use. Virtually any drone can be operated using OpenDroneMap. So let's go and find the location that we want to map at. I'm just going to go to a nearby marker. There's a nice empty field very close by, and it's full of olive trees, and I'm going to go and map this olive tree field quickly. So the way I like to do this, and the way we train our students, is we go and add a polygon, and I'm going to call it olive field. To make it more visible, I'm going to make it nice and bright yellow color, and nice and thick lines. And when you see the area, you want your opacity under the area to be 0, otherwise you can't see where you are drawing your polygons. Another useful tip is to view the area in hectares. It will help you know how many batteries you're going to use. With a Mini operating at 400 feet, we can do about, I think, 60-ish hectares per battery. This area is going to be much smaller. So let's go and map out the area. So you just click on a dot wherever you want a point placed. Go all up there. Basically every time the path takes a turn, you want to go and put a little dot down. Alright, that looks pretty good. This is 0.63 hectares, so we could fly an area 100 times this size, but we're not going to be operating at 400 feet. We're going to operate much, much lower. And that's basically it. Set the area. We're going to right click, and we're going to go and save the place. I'm going to put it on my desktop for now. I prefer KMLs because all the software can handle KMLs. Dronelink can also handle KMZs, but there are some packages that can't. So olivefield.kml, and we save it. And now we're going to go and open up Dronelink. So I want to go and create a new flight, so I'm going to click on Create. Now, I don't actually click on Map over here. If you wanted to create the mapping flight on Dronelink, you could click on it here, but as I said, we've already created a KML or a KMZ, or somebody has created one for us. So we can simply import it. It is on my desktop. And olivefield.kml. Alright, you can leave the settings as default. It says merge points closer to 1.5. You've got options on how you want to import it. We want to do a default. It's a mapping flight, so we just want to import the map. And we can go and import it. There we go. Alright, so Dronelink has created a little mapping flight for us. If you click on the little map over here, you can change the parameters. So the first thing is I'm not going to be flying with the Phantom 4. I'm going to be flying with the DJI Mini 2. Secondly is we don't want to operate at 86.9 meters. I'd like to operate nice and low, so I'm going to change that to 30. If we go to advanced, alright, you can already see it's created a lot more lines. When you fly lower, they need to be quite a lot closer together. Under advanced, you can change your overlap. If we were in an emergency and we were flying at 400 feet wanting to cover as much area as possible, we'd potentially have the overlap at as low as 60 to 65%. At the moment I know it's a very small area of 0.6 hectares, so I'm not worried about how long it's going to take. I'll leave it at 70%. We can leave the capture mode as a photo. We can leave the speed, it's worked out quite nicely. The pattern is normal, drone heading forward. And the gimbal pitch, so at the moment with a minus 90-degree pitch, it means the camera is aiming straight down. For a 2D map, that's perfect. If we wanted to fly a 3D map, we would change to a grid flight. As you can see, it's got lines going sideways now. And then we would change the gimbal pitch perhaps to 65 degrees. But we're only worried about a 2D flight now. We want to make a nice high-quality map. So we're going to keep the camera looking straight down. And those are all the settings we need to worry about. So we're going to click on Done. And that's our little flight path. Now, Dronelink is very smart. It can tell you how long it's going to take. There's a mission estimate over here. If we click on that little button, it says OK. It's going to take you 4 minutes and 16 seconds, which is very little. You can also move your starting point. So I know there's an empty spot over here in the parking lot. So I'm going to put it over there. And you can rotate the lines if you wanted to. It doesn't really make too much of a difference for flight time because Dronelink is very efficient with turning, unlike Pix4D was before. But it is sometimes useful to fly your long legs into the wind rather than crosswind. So you could simply just rotate the lines over here if you wanted to. Now I know the wind today is from the southwest, so I might put it in that direction. And that's basically it. The flight is automatically saved. So I'm going to stop here and I'm going to switch to my phone. So now we've created the flight, what we need to do is we need to go and download it for offline use. We can't assume that we'll have connection in the field. It might be a very deep field, there might not be any connectivity, or it might be after a disaster where there definitely wouldn't be any connectivity. So to do that, we're going to go and open up Dronelink. We can see the flight we've just created there. It's called Olive Field. We're going to click on the 3 dots and we're going to say download for offline. There we go, and it's been downloaded. That's great. Now we can go out and fly it. Alright, so let's go and fly the mission. So we're going to stick our controller on. We're going to turn on the drone. Alright, and it's asking us which app we'd like to use to control the drone. So we're going to click on Dronelink. Leave that. It should open in a second. Alright, so we're going to go and choose the flight we've already downloaded, Olive Field. There we go, we can see it's connected. I can see I've got 19 satellites, so that should be very good. Dronelink is very easy to operate, so all you need to do is literally hit the play button. I'm going to just grab the camera so we can see from behind. Alright, and there we go.
3, 2, 1. Starting mission.
Alright, so the drone is climbing to 30 meters. And I don't know if you'll be able to see this. I'm using a GoPro. I don't have anyone helping me film. So I'll put the camera down and I'll talk you through it on the screen. So the drone gets to the starting location and you'll see the camera will flip completely down. So it'll look at the ground. There we go. And then it'll start taking pictures. I'm going to turn the volume down a bit so we don't get the clicking all the time. There we go. And you can see it's following the grid. You can see the grid on the left corner of the screen, exactly where the drone is. And in the big part of the screen we can see what the camera sees, so we can see we're covering the whole area that we need to. You can also flip those around by clicking on these little blocks on the little map. And now you can see a big map. You can pan and zoom and do everything you need to do. And swap back as well. Alright, now Dronelink has got a lot of very nice features. There's a few I really like. The one I like is that you can see how much time has passed, so 1 minute 23, how much time is left, 2 minute 27. There's also a pause button here, and you can use a pause button on the controller as well if you need to stop for absolutely any reason. Now this might be that you need to swap a battery if you're mapping a very big area, or you could have an aircraft coming into sight and you need to pause it for that. So just to give you an example, I'm going to hit the pause button.
Mission stopped.
Okay, you can hear it says mission stopped. The drone has stopped exactly where it is. It turns the camera up. So if there was an aircraft coming in, what I would do now is I would turn the camera straight down and I would descend to a safe altitude. The nice thing about turning the camera down is that you can actually see that you're not going to fly into any trees. That's about as low as I need to go. I'm at 7 meters above the ground, which is lower than most of these boats around here, so you would never get an aircraft at that altitude. And when you're ready to go again, you literally just press play.
3, 2, 1. Starting mission.
And it works incredibly well. It goes back to the exact point it left off at, and it carries on flying. Now in this case it was just a dummy stop, but I could call the drone, I could press the pause button, I could fly the drone home, and I could swap a battery and just hit play again. It'll go back to where it was going and carry on flying. Let's turn that volume down a bit. And because of that, it is really, really useful for flying very large areas. Yeah, definitely my favorite software. I've used Pix4D quite a lot. I've used Drone Deploy quite a lot. I've used eMotion from the EBs, I've used Cubase from Quantum, but I haven't found software I like quite as much as Dronelink. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I like the fact that it's got a little radar signal in the bottom right corner over here, which helps you locate where the drone is, so you can point towards it, and that way you don't lose the drone if you're flying a lot. I like how you can see how much time is remaining. I like how you can pause at any time. There's so much you can do with it. Just now I'll show you how you can actually fly without even planning a flight, which is something we've never been able to do before. But hands down the best software I've used for operating a drone. For operating a drone like this one, the DJI Mini 2, it's actually the only software you could use. There's no mapping software, there's no other mapping software that supports the Mini 2 or the Mavic Air, in fact, or any of the new range of drones. DJI hasn't included waypoints in their SDK, so this is actually operating on it's operating with virtual sticks. So it's as if on the controller it's actually flying that stick, which is very, very cool. Alright, and it's doing its last little bit. You can see it's got 30 seconds left, and it should be coming home to me now. Now the Mavic Pros and the Mavic Air 2s are normally quite accurate on their landings. The Mini 2 doesn't have a downward facing camera that takes pictures on takeoff, so it sometimes is a little bit off when you're landing. But it is best practice anyway to land a drone manually. So when it's about at the point it's going to land, I hit pause and I fly the drone manually and I land it. It is always the right thing to do. And another best practice is to stand directly behind the drone, because if you're behind the drone, the right hand stick moves the drone in the exact location that you're moving. And there we go. So now that we're done with the flight, we can go and download the data. So we'll grab the little drone. What I do love is how small this drone actually is. And I'm going to grab the little memory stick out the back, and I will stick that into the side of the laptop. There we go. Now we can go and find the files. So it's always in the latest folder. And I know it was my most recent flight, so I'm going right to the end. And I can see this picture was taken at 1852, so I can work back 1851, and when you see a big jump, that would be the end of that data set, and that would start a new data set. So that's typically how we separate our flights when we're mapping. So let's go and copy that. I'm going to go and create a new folder, drone data. I'm just going to call this one testing. And I'll paste these in here. There we go. And now we can open up WebODM. Typically I like to separate my projects by country, but in this case I'm just going to add a testing project. And I'm going to go and select my images. Testing. Select all and open. Call that field over here. Now you get a number of different options. I want this in as high a resolution as possible, so I'm going to stick it on high res. High res gets you down to 2 centimeter pixel size, and I know I was flying at 30 meters, so I can actually get higher quality than that. So I'm going to go and put that down at a very low number and save that. Typically you wouldn't need to do that because typically we operate at 400 feet, and this would be a better quality. I'm not going to resize any images. I'm going to just check the settings and I'm going to hit go. And as you can see, it's uploading from this laptop to its own laptop, so it's very quick. And then the process starts. And I'm expecting this to take quite a while, so I will speed up the recording so you don't need to sit and wait. And we're done. As you can see, it took an hour 14 minutes. Now I was using my laptop a lot of that time, so I suspect that's why it took a little bit longer. I also processed the flooded area, or the pseudo flooded area, which had a similar number of pictures but only took half an hour, and that's because I did it when I wasn't using my laptop. So let's go and look at how the data looks. We can go and view the map. Alright, so there's our field of olive trees. We can zoom in on them nicely. And the data quality looks quite good. It should get a little bit better as we zoom in. There's not a lot of structures aside from the trees, but you can see the quality is quite high. Let's go find another thing we can look at. Yeah, the boardwalk over here. If you zoom right in, you can see there's nice crisp lines. It looks very, very good. If you go and see how that looks on Google Earth, it's just a blur, whereas over here it looks really, really good. And I'm not going to focus too much on OpenDroneMap because I've spoken about it before quite a lot. I'll put a link to one of the OpenDroneMap videos in the description if you want to see what different things OpenDroneMap can do. But for now I'm just showing you little bits and pieces. Let's go and look at the surface model. This shows you the elevation of the objects on the ground, and as you can see that's a pretty flat area, and we've got some objects there, a couple of boats over here. And that's all we've got for today. I hope you found it useful. I'm going to post another video soon on how we can use Dronelink to map areas we haven't defined before going to the site. So very useful for mapping things like floodplains where you don't know the size of them. But that's all for today. Thanks very much for watching.